kiddos! First of all, thank you so much for the support and the love that I got on my last video. I spent so much time and effort in that video, and it means so much to me to see how much you guys enjoyed it and how much feedback I got for that, so thank you so much. Alright, it's Katie from THEORensic, and I'm delivering to you my very first solved case. Now, I say solved because someone has been convicted, but there's still someone out there who committed another crime that has to do with this one, and nobody has ever caught them. Before we start, I want to give a quick disclaimer that I do not claim any of these things in my videos to be facts. They are just things that I found from certain articles online and compiled into a video. Some of the themes in this video are of a disturbing and violent nature, so if you are triggered by this kind of content, this is not the right video for you. Today's case is the Demeter case. Peter Demeter was born in Hungary to a wealthy family in 1933. Following World War II and the rise of a communist government, their family became less and less wealthy. To escape this poverty-filled life, Demeter actually immigrated to Canada. When he immigrated, he was 23. He was one of the few to be able to flee Hungary after the suppression of the Hungarian Revolution. By 1962, Demeter had a very successful business in property development, and he actually accumulated millions of dollars. When I was researching this case, there wasn't much information on what happened between 1962 and 1966, but by 1967, Demeter had married a woman named Christine Ferrari. Christine was a beautiful young woman. She used these assets to her advantage, marrying a rich man and becoming a model. Like Peter, she was also an immigrant, but she was from Austria. In 1970, Christine and Peter had their first and only child, Andrea Demeter. This part of the case becomes a little blurry, and I'm guessing this means that it doesn't affect the case too much, or else it would be mentioned, but I couldn't find it in any articles anywhere about why their marriage became strained, but we know that it did. During this part of their marriage, when it was very strained and uncomfortable, Christine had an affair, which Peter found out about. There's not much else to say what happened during their strained marriage, but this next part will shock you. On July 18th, 1973, Christine was found dead in her garage. Her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, estimated to be either a crowbar or a tire iron, but the weapon was never found. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was researching for this case, I had no idea what a tire iron was, so I'm just going to show you a picture of a tire iron and a crowbar. Christine was found face down on the concrete floor with blood gushing out of her head in her family home in Mississauga, Ontario. When police arrived, they found Christine and Peter's 3-year-old girl safely watching TV on the couch in the living room. With no murder weapon or DNA left at the crime scene, it would have been nearly impossible to find out who killed Christine. The lack of evidence left at the scene suggests that maybe it was done professionally and they knew what they were doing. However, because of police protocol, they have to check the spouse and other immediate family members. This is why they had a person of interest already in mind. Police found out when questioning Peter that Christine had an affair that Peter knew about. Police believed that this was a motive for him to kill his own wife. The one piece of information that police needed to confirm their suspicion of Peter, only a few days after Peter's wife was killed, Peter was found trying to claim her life insurance, which was estimated to be over $1 million. These pieces of evidence confirmed that Peter was in some way responsible, whether he hired somebody to murder her or did it himself. The two primary suspects during the trial was Mr. X, who was wearing a paper bag during the trial to protect his identity, who was later identified as Gyala Virag. He testified that Demeter hired a Hungarian hitman, who was known as the Duck. The Duck was later identified to be a man named Imre Olenjinek. The second significant witness in Peter's trial was Peter's friend and a police informant. Saba Zilagi, who testified that Peter had also tried to hire him as well. In court, there were tapes that also helped convict Peter of his crimes. These were tapes secretly recorded by his police informant friend of conversations that happened after Peter's wife died. It was revealed later in the trial that the husband and wife may have been plotting to kill each other. They were doing this because they both wanted to collect the life insurance of $1 million. Because of Christine's death, this could never be confirmed or denied, but Peter maintained his innocence, not testifying to the claim. On December 6, 1974, Peter was convicted and was sentenced to life in imprisonment for the arranging of his wife's murder. In December of 1974 as well, Canada requested the Hungarian government to send the duck over to Canada to be tried for the physical murder of Christine Ferrari. However, the duck was never found, and a large number of reports report him to have died in Hungary. In 1983, Demeter was living in a halfway house. Peter was then charged with another life sentence for planning a kidnapping and murder on the son of the cousin who was looking after his daughter, Andrea. This man was also in charge of all his financial affairs. His goal was said to obtain all the money back, and once he got all the money back, he would have him killed. Peter Demeter was convicted in July of 1985 for another arranging of kidnapping and murder. On top of his other conviction, he also was charged with arson of his own family home in Mississauga, Ontario. However, he blamed it on the police and said that they were after him. Then in 1988, he was charged with the planning of the kidnapping and murder of his lawyer's daughter. He said he was having problems financially with his lawyer and couldn't justify the amount of money he had to spend for him. This resulted in 2 more life sentences, now totaling his life sentences at 4. While in prison, Demeter suffered a stroke and was also diagnosed with 3 types of cancer. He has had chemotherapy to treat his illnesses. In 2019, Demeter applied for parole, but was ultimately denied by the parole board. Peter is said to most likely spend the rest of his life in prison. He is 87 years old today and is living in a medium security prison in Bath, Ontario. And a side note, he's also remarried since then, while still in prison. It is suspected that the person who married him is only after his money. That concludes our case for today. The killer of Christine was never found, and most likely will never be found. Peter will most likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Thank you guys so much for watching my first case. If you enjoyed it, please show me some more love in the comments, hit the like button, and share this with any friends and family you think might enjoy it. If you have a case you'd like to recommend for me to do a video on, leave it in the comments below, and I will definitely reply to every single one of your comments. If you have any constructive criticism for me about this case, anything else you'd like to know, I would be more than happy to give you guys an update on the case if you want it. All the sources I used for this video will be in the description box below. This was Katie, signing off. Bye.